I get why you're hesitating. You've probably spent a few nights scrolling through specs, watching best gaming laptop videos, and wondering if the next big purchase will just sit in a drawer gathering dust because it doesn't fit your workflow. The fear of splurging on a machine that can't keep up with a 4K video edit session, or that will overheat the moment you fire up the latest AAA title, is real. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, so you can compare side by side with any other model you've got your eye on. Let's walk through the NIMO 17.3-inch gaming laptop as if we were sitting at a coffee shop, laptop open, and you've just handed me the box. First off, the size. A 17.3-inch screen is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you get a cinematic canvas that makes color grading in Premiere Pro feel almost like a real monitor, and in games you actually notice the difference between a foggy background and a crisp skyline. On the other hand, it adds bulk. At around 6 pounds, the thing isn't something you'll comfortably slip into a small backpack for a 2-hour commute, but it does fit nicely in a standard laptop bag. If you're a creator who moves between a home studio and client sites, the extra screen real estate may be worth the trade-off. If you're a student who needs something to toss in a dorm locker, you might feel the weight more keenly. The heart of the machine is an AMD Ryzen 7 8745HS, an 8-core chip that can boost up to 4.9 GHz. In practice, that means you can run a 1440p game at 60 frames per second while keeping a background render of a 30-second animation in DaVinci Resolve. I've seen a few creators stream their workflow on Twitch, switching between OBS, Photoshop, and a web browser, and the CPU never hiccups. The built-in Radeon 780M isn't a desktop-class GPU, but it's more than enough for titles that are a few years old or indie games that favor style over raw horsepower. In a recent session of Elden Ring, the laptop hovered around 55 frames per second on medium settings, and the frame time stayed consistent enough that there was no stutter when dodging enemy attacks. Heat is where many gaming laptops stumble, and the NIMO does a respectable job. The chassis has a vented side panel and a dual-fan cooling system that ramps up to a noticeable whine under sustained load. In a 3-hour gaming marathon, the fan stayed in the 2,200 revolutions per minute range for the first hour, then climbed to about 3,000 revolutions per minute. You'll hear it, but it doesn't drown out conversation. The laptop stays under 90°C on the CPU, which is within safe limits, and the fan curve is fairly aggressive, meaning you won't be left with thermal throttling mid-project. If you're planning to game in a quiet apartment at night, you might want a pair of headphones to mask the fan noise, but for most daytime setups the sound is manageable. Keyboard feel matters for both gamers and designers. NIMO equipped this model with a full-size backlit keyboard that includes a numeric keypad, a rarity on 17-inch gaming rigs these days. The keys have a medium travel, tactile response that feels a bit like a mid-range mechanical board without the clicky clack. I tested typing a script for a short film and then switching to WASD for a fast-paced shooter. The transition was seamless, and the RGB lighting can be set to a single color or a subtle breathing effect, which is nice for a low-key editing room. The integrated fingerprint sensor sits conveniently to the right of the spacebar, and it unlocks the system in under a second, which is a practical touch if you're frequently moving between workspaces. Storage and memory are where the NIMO tries to stand out. A massive 64 GB of DDR5 RAM is overkill for most gamers, but it's a genuine advantage for creators handling large timelines, high-resolution textures, or multiple virtual machines. Pair that with a 2 TB NVMe SSD, and you have enough fast space for a full game library, a 4K video archive, and all the project files you need for a freelance design gig. The drive's read/write speeds are in the ballpark of 5,000 megabytes per second, so loading a Unity project feels instantaneous, and you'll notice a tangible drop in waiting time when opening a massive Photoshop file. The only downside is that the SSD is soldered, so you can't upgrade it later without replacing the whole board, a consideration if you anticipate needing more than 2 TB in a few years. Battery life on a machine this powerful is always a compromise. NIMO fitted a 75 Wh cell, which translates to roughly 4.5 hours of mixed-use, think web browsing, light video playback, and occasional gaming at low settings. If you're editing on the go and you plug into the 100W power delivery charger that comes with the laptop, you'll be back to full charge in about an hour and a half. That's faster than many competing 17-inch laptops, but it still means you shouldn't expect to finish a day of heavy gaming without a wall outlet.